My name is Yolanda McKinney, and this is Table Talk Tuesday. And today I have with me Miss Kristen Williams, and Miss Williams is going to share her gift with us today. So you can go ahead and
This poem is titled Battlefield. It is an original poem. I'm fighting for a cause. I'm fighting for a cause because few are willing to stand on the truth. Many claim to want to get to heaven but could care less about their life or the lifestyle they're living and are more concerned with how much they can receive rather than lending a hand in giving. My cause is evidence every time I walk outside. Though interfering sadness I try to hide just so I can make someone else's day with a smile. And that makes it all worthwhile as I continue to breathe in, I breathe out. Self-doubt that clouds my mind daily, but can you see it? No, because I'm fighting for a cause. I'm fighting for a cause because I know the depth of life's daily struggles. I'm fighting for a cause because my sisters young and old need to be taught to use their bodies as something other than a playground. So I'm taking a stand. No man, we cannot get down with the get down in the bed, on the sofa, on the table, or on the ground unless a kiss is sealed with marital bliss. And no, giving you my digits does not mean you can afford husband privileges because I am priceless. My milkshake may bring all the boys to the yard, but that does not mean every Mike, Joe, Thomas, and James can take a spin on this merry-go-round. So my sisters, know that you far outweigh the value of silver and gold. And like the stories being told by our ancestors who stood so bold in the days of old, we are queens of royalty, destined for greatness, everlasting for generations to come, with the sweetness of the sound of old Negro spirituals being hummed. But can you hear it? Don't let the songs be sung in vain. Stand on these words because out of my mouth I speak the truth. So I'm using it as something other than a trash can so that my voice will travel to distant lands and proclaim the victory over everyone who believes that little boys and little girls growing up in the projects are hopeless. Know this. God is the hope that breathes treasure into worthlessness and hope into hopelessness. And I'm fighting for a cause because as I walk the streets alone, I can hear the silent cries of children abandoned in their homes that are supposed to be filled with love. As I pray a ray of hope into their souls so that they'll know that their dreams are not as hopeless as some make them out to be. Offering myself as a sacrifice so that I may someday lead those who may look up to me. Teaching the words that our forefathers taught, that we shall overcome. As I thank God that someone was bold enough to visualize a dream that many could not conceive, and tell my young brothers and sisters that they too can have a dream. So dream on, dreamer, and don't let the struggles of life stand in the way. Don't worry about the hate that the naysayers preach. Know that every dream you dream is within your reach. So grab hold of it and don't let go. Keep on pressing whether you're moving fast or slow. And this is a stand that I'm taking whether in a crowd or standing alone. But to anyone who hears the voice behind the words, get on board and let's go.
I want to thank you so much for that poem. That was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Well, so let's start out with what inspires you to write the poetry that you write?
Well, I would consider myself an inspirational poet simply because of my life experiences and the life experiences of people that I have crossed paths with, whether directly or indirectly. You know, there's something that I feel like I can take from someone else's experiences and grow from. And over the past, I would say 3 or 4 years, it just seems like my particular avenue to express my thoughts as well as share a message with other people, hoping that they too will be inspired.
Okay, yeah. Well, when did you first start?
It was around 2010, late 2010.
Okay.
I was actually going through a divorce, and it was during that particular time period where I began to write. It started off just journaling. It was just me sharing my innermost thoughts and feelings on paper. It was those things usually during quiet moments where I was able to connect, I guess, with my spirit. And like I said, it began as something that was just as simple as me just journaling, sharing my thoughts. Kind of like a seed that was planted, and it just grew. And I didn't understand the purpose in it at the time, other than it's therapeutic for me.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's your outlet. It's your creative outlet.
Yeah.
And that's, really, I would say, I want to say amazing, because what happens is in life, I believe, we have such natural raw talents inside of us that a lot of times we don't recognize. And then at some point, it may take an event or something happens, and we start using that inner gift that we all have, and a lot of times it's just really to be cathartic. It's a way to, and then you start, and people start hearing it, and they start saying, oh, I like that, and so okay, so the title of this poem was Fighting for a Cause, right?
Battlefield.
Okay, but one of your reoccurring themes is I'm fighting for a cause. Okay, so you have a very socially conscious poetry, right? And a lot of yours, like you said, is pulled from experiences you've seen and things that are. What do you hope that people can receive or grow from that?
From that particular poem, it touches on so much. Number one, in working with at-risk youth, and a lot of them have trouble controlling their anger, and it's like fighting has become their outlet to release their inward emotions, but it's channeled in such a negative direction, and I want to pull them back and say, no, there's a different path that you can take. Back during the civil rights era, when people, they didn't use their fists to fight. It was for a cause. And if they wanted to achieve or accomplish their mission or their goal, they had to do it in such a way, that didn't require fists. And belittling one another and tearing one another down. It's actually a fight to build individuals and build communities. And so my question, to any person, young or old, who finds themselves involved in a fist fight, I'm like, what are you fighting for? And a lot of times there's an underlying fear. That and not knowing how to express yourself in a more positive way. It could be just something that you're accustomed to. And if you take a step back, just take a moment and take a step back and realize that by fighting with your fists, what is it that you're winning? What is it that's being accomplished? And it really takes an act of bravery sometimes to take that step back and be like, no, this is not what I want to stand for. And, I want to stand for something greater. I want to stand for something better.
And it takes having someone kind of step into a person's life to actually help them or kind of guide them in using that, right? Because we grow up in an environment sometimes where it becomes, it's me or you, right? And that can be seen in any type of environment. It can be in the workplace, it can be, in the community, that we kind of get to a place where we know we have to defend and protect ourselves, and it kind of creates this environment of, I'm gonna do what I have to do, and I'm gonna tear down, and like what you're saying, we're looking for a way to unify. We're looking for, honestly, a way to be whole as well, because the more we heal and the more whole we are, then the more we can help someone else.
That's right.
And so in saying all of that, someone actually has to step in, or there has to be a light bulb that goes off for an individual, so that they will know in order to that there's something's not quite right, or there's a better way. What do you suggest, or let's talk a little bit about those light bulb moments, or reaching out to youth and helping them understand how to kind of shift that and learn a little bit more about themselves and their natural abilities?
Well, coming from a spiritual standpoint, one of the things that I have found myself saying or asking, posing the question to young people is, who created you? You have to know your worth. When you know your worth, then you're instinctively there are certain things that you are not going to do because you know your worth. And so I posed a question, who created you? How do you get to know your worth? And the answer to that is through the eyes of the one who created you. So I encourage them not to reject. Usually the answer is God. That's usually the response that I get, and that's the response that I'm looking for, just to get their mind, moving in that direction, and allowing them, not really giving them the answer, but allowing them to,
come to a realization.
Exactly.
Okay.
And at that point, when I tell them, don't reject the one who created you, because that's how you are going to fully become whole and get to know the person that you were created to be.
Yeah. In talking about that, I think about, and I think I'm kind of shifting a little bit, but natural abilities and natural talents. We all have this inner something inside of ourselves, and a lot of times it's very, very hard to recognize. One of the things I've come to understand over time is sometimes there's this thing about you that everyone hates, right? The thing about you that everybody picks on you about, your quirk. And so the thing about me is I talk a lot, right? I talk and I talk and I talk. Everybody who knows me knows that I talk. And kind of growing up and doing that, people call me different names for talking so much, but I realized as an adult that that's my thing. That's actually my gift. So sometimes when we have a thing about us that's a quirk, or that thing that people don't really understand, that's actually value. Right. And we don't kind of grow up sometimes knowing that that value, the thing that we look at as the thing that's against us or makes us different, is actually the thing that gives us value. And
it's actually, channeling it in that, in a positive direction. Yeah. And hopefully others who have that same knack, will become inspired to use their gift or their talent in a positive way, to build and not, destroy. That's right.
Yeah. A reoccurring theme in your poetry seems to be dreaming, self-worth, and basically knowing your own value. Right. What is it that you would want young women, young men to gain from the poems that you write?
I would say that anything in life, anything you desire to do, begins with a solid foundation. For me, coming into the knowledge and the understanding of the importance of faith, hope, and love, and letting that be my foundation, and from which you can grow, and dreams dealing with those deepest desires of your heart. And one of my favorite Bible verses is Psalms chapter 37 verse 4, where it mentions, delight thyself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And I have come to just stand on that, and so that no matter what obstacle or struggle I encounter in life, I have to maintain faith, I have to maintain hope, and I have to maintain love. If I do anything out of malice or ill intent, it's already, it's not going to come to fruition. So I have to look inwardly, look at my motives, examine myself, because so often it's so easy to just point the finger, and find fault in others. But when you look inwardly to, self-examine yourself and make the necessary corrections within, it's at that point that you're able to, go out and spread a message and plant seeds in other people out because of that foundation that you have. And so it is possible. Whatever our deepest desire is, it is possible. Because with God, all things are possible. But there again lies that foundation. And so I would say that that would be what I would want people to take from my poetry, that no matter what circumstance you come from in life, not everybody was born with a silver spoon, but that does not mean that your life lacks purpose, and lacks, that doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity or the ability, I'll say, to grow beyond those circumstances. We can overcome.
That's awesome.
We can overcome.
That's awesome. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and being a part of Table Talk Tuesday.
Thank you so much.
If you have a personal talent, are making a difference in the community, have a topic that you're very passionate about, or would just like to be on our panel, you can reach me on Facebook, Table Talk Tuesday, and just send me a message in the inbox. Again, I want to thank Ms. Williams for coming out, and I will see you guys next week. But before we leave, she's going to end us with one more poem.
Thank you. This particular poem is titled Star Logic. Midnight madness hides the stars that once twinkled in my brother's eyes. Now all I see is a disguise of emotions, tangled up in bitterness and resentment, for the stars that once twinkled have now been transformed into bars that bind. But rise, my brother, because you have the power to overcome that dead man's walk. But your power is deflected every time you open your mouth to speak, talk. The worth of our mother's soul hangs in the balance of the path we choose in achieving the goal of attaining star-minded logic that cannot be taken away by depressors, suppressors, and repressors of dreams. Although too often it seems worth is determined more by the shoes on a ride and feet, even when there's no bed to sleep on or food to eat, to just feeding into the frenzy of flashy gold teeth and the sticker price on your back, perpetuated by street entrepreneurs codenaming themselves Daddy and Fat Sacks. But here's a tune I'd like you to hear. Money may buy stardom, but it won't buy logic. And planting seeds before harvest time will only lead to illogical starvation of the ones whose creation was intended to be cherished, not demolished. So anytime you or we decide to spit a rhyme, spit reason, because rhyme without reason is as senseless as planting seeds out of season. And pitiful, stupid buffoons they call us, and who can we blame? Is it my sister or your sister who was called out her name by the brother on stage who was looking for fame, belittling his sister in the process, disdain with incessant use of words profane? Increase, then release your star logic and gain the power within instilled when out your mother's womb you came. Just look to the bars and break down the bars that bind the mind to ignorance and mediocrity unchained in the absence of star logic.